Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'd love for you to join the family and subscribe. On Monday this week, what's for dinner? We had breakfast. One of my favorite things to do. We probably do it once a week, usually at the end of the week. So we changed it up. We did it at the beginning of the week this time. And I haven't made waffles in such a long time. I used the recipe on the side of the buttermilk Krusty's pancake mix. And we did hash browns with eggs and fruit. And the kielbasa. It was so good. So my daughter loves to help me in the kitchen. So you're going to see her just about every day helping me in the kitchen. And I absolutely love that. So the recipe on this side does call for some oil, an egg, and some water. And then I like to add in some vanilla and cinnamon. And I really think that adds a little bit more flavor to it. And I love it. So then I try to have Callie Rose help me as much as I possibly can. And so she did the hash browns, and those are really easy to just throw in the oven. And then we washed up some fruit and cut up the kielbasa. So it was really not a hard dinner to make, and it was kind of nice for a Monday with working at home. My weeks are just getting a little bit crazy, and I am loving every moment of my kids being with me. So then I go ahead and I pour them into the waffle. I pour the mixture into the waffle maker, and honestly, they just turn out so good. And they're so easy if you have leftovers to reheat in the oven, because we did that actually for lunch the next day. And then we had strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and bananas. And I like to top it with whipped cream or some type of like Cool Whip. If you have that, that would work too. Kielbasa, the sausage, is one of my kids' favorite breakfast like sides to have. And so I like to do that. I made everybody's plate. I used the Easter plates as much as I could this week just to get them in the holiday spirit. And then I plated mine as well with the same stuff as the girls. I added even those little mini chocolate chips because I absolutely love the crunch in that. And on my plate, I also did cheese and egg. My one daughter can't have egg, so I just don't do egg on their plate. Okay, on Tuesday, I tell you guys every time I do a what's for dinner, we do some type of Mexican. So this time I did red sauce enchiladas, and I haven't done these in a long time. So I brown the meat and season it really well. And it's really a simple Tuesday meal. So if you need a quick one, this one's a great meal to make. So in a pot, I just threw in the rice. All the mixture goes in together at the same time, which kind of throws me off. But hey, that's what the box says to do. I usually actually make my own rice, and they are out of rice at the store, so I had to pick up this one. So that works. I used to buy this kind a long time ago. I opened up both the cans for the beans and for the sauce. I do warm up the shells before I roll them because I feel like it helps them not to break as easily. And then I mixed pepper jack and a 3 cheese, and then I roll them up, and then you top it with the red sauce. And you kind of want to make sure that the red sauce touches every single enchilada, just so this way that none of them are dry. And then I do go back through and I top it with cheese again. So this is definitely cheesy. You can change it up even and maybe do a different meat if you wanted. Then I throw the refried beans on the stovetop. I always add milk to make it creamy because then it's like a little too thick for me. Then I wanted some type of vegetable. I try. It doesn't always happen to have vegetables on the side, but I try to do that. This is one of our favorite Southwest salads to eat with Mexican food. So then we had everything prepped in like seriously such a little amount of time. I love this meal, and it's definitely a hit with the whole family, and the leftovers are amazing. So there's all our plates, and I topped mine with some sour cream. You could definitely do some like chunky salsa with it as well. Okay, on Wednesday we had one of my favorite pasta dishes, Cajun chicken pasta. And I actually got this recipe from Pinterest after going to Chili's, the restaurant, and ordering this, and I absolutely loved it. I had to figure out how can I make this at home. So I've actually been making it for like over a year now. But you zest a lemon, which makes the sauce so like fresh tasting. And then you actually use the Italian parsley, and I used Roma tomatoes, but you can use any type of tomatoes. And that's what kind of like makes this dish, in my opinion, so good. So I start by boiling water with a little bit of olive oil and putting the pasta in, and you can cook it to whatever you like the texture to taste like there. And then I cut the parsley and tomatoes up, and my daughter helps me, so you see her little hand come in a few times. And sorry if I'm doing this voiceover and you hear little voices in the background. My daughters are with me, and they're always next to me, so you might hear them. But I went ahead and cut up the parsley just a little bit so that it's not such huge chunks when you take bites of it. And I cut up all the chicken that I had baked earlier that day, and honestly it saves so much time having it already cooked. It felt so good to make this dish a little bit faster, because if you're going to cook the chicken the same like time as you want to eat, you do have to kind of prep for that time. So after I start the sauce, and you start with butter, and you want to melt that completely, and then you're going to add in the garlic, and I added pepper as well. Once it's all boiling and ready to go, that's when you add the lemon zest to it, and then you add the heavy cream. And honestly, this sauce is amazing. Once those are combined completely, that's when you're usually supposed to add Parmesan. However, I added the Italian cheese. If you saw, that's part of like the stores just didn't have everything this time around. And so I improvised and I went with the Italian, and honestly, it turned out just as good. So I would definitely buy that style cheese again. That was the first time I did that. It has Parmesan in it, so I figured it would work. But it actually was like probably a better cheese for the melting at the end. So it might be even better than just Parmesan, in my opinion. Once you've combined those, that's when the good stuff goes on top. The shredded chicken or cut up chicken, and then you top that with the parsley and tomatoes. And I like to cover it and let the tomatoes and parsley heat up with the chicken back on the pasta for a little bit. So during that time, once I've covered it, my daughter and I went ahead and took the garlic cheesy bread out, and she thought it was so cold, so it was kind of funny. And then we threw those in the oven, and then I went ahead and made lemonade with the girls, because since you have to zest a lemon, I don't like to waste that lemon. So we squeezed the lemons out, and just wait till the end because I added a little blooper. It was so funny. But we made pink lemonade, and I just thought this was so fun. I had this like pitcher from Pampered Chef, and so we used that, and it just works out perfect. So after I've let it heat up for a while, you can see all the steam. I top it with cheese, and I recover it for just a little bit until the cheese is nice and melty. And by this time, usually your bread is done and everything's ready to go at the same time. So it's kind of nice to have like the order down. I went ahead and added the little lemons to the side and made it kind of like a fancy dinner night, and it was delicious. So this night we decided to Corrie and I have brownies, and let me tell you, oh my goodness, we love these brownies. It's the like chunky brand, or the super chunk Betty Crocker, and this is the one that I always buy. And we put it in a large pan, and then this way it kind of makes like really thin brownies, so you can have like a larger piece, right? And top it with some ice cream and some whipped cream, and it is delicious. So you'll see how thin, because I have to like spread the batter out, and you can just see how chunky the like chocolate chips are in there. It's so good. We have added nuts to it before, and that's pretty good, like walnuts to the top, so you can definitely do that. I definitely love my whipped cream, and this was the last bit of the can, but I had another can, so no worries. On Thursday, what's nice, again, I was able to prep this during the day, during my lunchtime, because these rolls take 3 to 5 hours to rise. And so I went ahead and prepped them. And then that night, you can see the ingredients are all laid out. We are making some sloppy joes. This is definitely my kids' favorite meal this week. They devoured this meal. So I started by peeling some sweet potatoes and carrots, and of course, my little helpers with me. My older daughter, Kelly Rose, is right there. And Novely, I think, tries to help in the kitchen, but she doesn't, she's not as interested yet. So I went ahead and I diced these up. And honestly, this has been one of our favorite things to mix, the sweet potatoes and carrots lately. And then you just roast them, and you can like mix up what seasoning goes on them if you wanted them to maybe taste a little bit different. But this has just been one of our go-tos lately, and I am loving it. So I went ahead and got those all prepped up and cut, and we put those in the oven because they do take quite a bit of time. I had the oven set to 375, and you could definitely like broil at the end if you wanted them a little bit crispier. But we added olive oil, all the seasonings that we wanted, spread it out on the pan, and threw them in. And it takes about, 30 minutes almost to get to the doneness that I want. I don't know if that to the amount that we want cooked. So then I went ahead and I cut up part of an onion, and this is going to go in with the ground beef once I brown it for the sloppy joes. And this sloppy joe recipe I found years ago when we still had cable. I was watching the Food Channel, and I came upon this recipe, and I've made it ever since. And honestly, you can make it with bell peppers. I usually do, but we just didn't have the bell peppers, so I didn't put them in this time. I made this with macaroni and cheese, just the box kind, this night, so it's a little bit easier. But I went ahead and I seasoned my ground beef, and you can throw in a lot of seasoning with this just because you have the tomato paste and sauce. So I went ahead and I added garlic and onion and all of our favorite seasonings to the ground beef. And then I went ahead and I put in the sauces. So you're going to have the tomato sauce, the tomato paste, the barbecue sauce, and Worcestershire sauce, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm not the best at saying that word. But this just adds all the flavor. It is so delicious and so worth it. If you guys make this, definitely comment down below. It is amazing. I know that you could buy the packs, the packet to make sloppy joe, but this is definitely my family's favorite sloppy joe recipe. So then after that, I just went ahead and I finished making the macaroni and cheese, and I just made it, how the box said. Of course, my rolls are in the oven cooking at this point. They had risen. You could see that they had like doubled in size from sitting and rising for 3 to 5 hours. It was about 4.5 hours by the time they went in. So here's everything done. And guys, this was just so delicious. The fresh rolls with sloppy joes is my favorite. And it's like the Texas size, so they are pretty big. The girls had shredded cheese on the side because they didn't want it inside, but usually I put cheese on top of mine. So I used pepper jack. I like it a little spicy, and this was just a hit. On Friday, we go for easier meals where my daughter can help me as much as possible. I know you guys have seen that in my What's for Dinner videos before where she helps me. So this night I had picked up already fully cooked chicken cordon bleus, and these are really good. I had never tried these until my sisters told me about them, and they eat them. So I went ahead and I bought them this time for our family, and my daughter helped me with the whole entire meal. So that was kind of fun. I went ahead and I put those in the oven, and while those were cooking, I peeled some potatoes. And the potatoes, this time I used russet potatoes. Sometimes I use yellow potatoes, or golden potatoes, not really sure what they're called. Either way works for me. I just really like mashed potatoes to be super creamy. And so my daughter was trying to help me cut the potatoes. It's kind of hard though at this age for them to cut like carrots or potatoes, but I let her try. And so I boiled those potatoes until they were fully done or soft. And then this way they can make some really creamy mashed potatoes. I want to know, do you guys put in the potatoes before the water's boiling or while it's boiling? I also want to know, do you guys use a mixer or a masher? I use a mixer. I think that it just blends so much faster. I went ahead and seasoned it. I had butter and milk added to it with the seasoning that we like for the mashed potatoes. And it just comes up so creamy and delicious. And for the sides on this night, on Friday night, we just wanted something easy. So I did canned green beans and canned corn. And this way my daughter could put it in the pan. And pretty much I say she makes it because that's really all there is to it. I add a little bit of butter to our corn and I add some seasoning. But that's really it. And seasoning to our green beans. And it just warms it up. But this dinner was super easy to make, and it's kind of nice to have an easy dinner on a Friday night. And then for sure on Sunday and Saturday this week, we just had leftovers, and that's why you guys don't see it in the What's for Dinner, because we just had cooked so much food. So there was a ton of leftovers. So that was really nice. So at the end, here's what everything turned out looking like. It was delicious. I am loving making these What's for Dinner videos. Definitely comment down below if this is something that you guys like to watch and like seeing. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would love to have you as part of the family. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, now what else do we need? Oh.